Hey guys, this is Chris Brigani from Brigani Coins and Collectibles here in New York City. Today I have a lovely assortment of Willie Mays memorabilia. Clearly, Willie Mays, one of the best players ever. He's considered the best five-tool player, or one of the best five-tool players ever in the history of the game. He could hit for power, he could hit for average, he could catch, he could throw. So clearly today he's one of the most collectible baseball players as far as autographs go and memorabilia. So let's get right to it. I have a New York Giants jersey here, flannel, Cooperstown collection, signed by Willie. Not the clearest signature, you'll notice. So anybody who lived and signed throughout the 80s, 90s, and up until today, if they were doing the mass signings, most of these guys do not have legible autographs, unfortunately. So moving below, this is cool. This is not an autograph. This is a ticket from 1954 World Series Game 1 when he made the famous catch. The picture, over the shoulder or over his head, he's catching the ball going into deep center field, which was considered the turning point of the series. Now, like I said, Willie Mays autographs are, he signed a lot. We're going to get back to this piece because this is the one exception to the rule of anybody that lived and signed through the 80s, 90s until today. So going on here, all the way down here, we have a Willie Mays ball signed from in the 80s or early 90s period. So it's signed along with Mickey Mantle and Duke Snider, and that was a very popular trio in the 80s. So at these shows, you always had Mickey Mantle, you always had Joe DiMaggio, Duke Snider, Stan Musial. All those guys, if they were living in the 80s, they were signing. They were signing a lot. Next to that, we just have a Willie Mays single signed here. Again, not the cleanest, not the clearest signature. You would never know that that's a W as the first letter there. So one more ball next to it. We have, this is cool, this is a 1955 Giants team signed. So what's cool, it's signed vintage, it's not mass-produced item, it's from the period. So he's a second to last signature there on the bottom. Again, you can't even, or you could barely read Willie Mays. And you'll notice it's even for Willie, it's very different the way he signed on that ball versus everything else you've seen so far. So that brings us to this 3x5 index card here. And you'll notice the condition immediately. Beautiful, really dark blue signature on a white 3x5 index card. It just kind of jumps out at you. And PSA has agreed with that, giving it a distinction of Gem Mint 10, which is not only is it rare because it's from the vintage period, but obviously the condition is great too. I'm just going to lay that down here. So let's talk about the signature itself. Again, you would never know that's a W without knowing it's a Willie Mays signature. And also what's great about this item, and rare, is it's signed not Willie Mays, but it's signed William Mays. Something he's only done a few times. I've only actually seen one or two other examples like this. One was on a baseball from 1950. So he was a rookie in 1951. And in 1950, he was on a New York Giants affiliate team called the Trenton Giants, and he signed a team ball, William Mays. So that's the only other example I've seen on a baseball. The other one I saw was on a similar flat, but unfortunately it was personalized to somebody, and the condition wasn't anywhere near this. So maybe 2 or 3 examples, exist. Maybe another 1 or 2, but probably not. So dating the signature, we would say 1950, possibly 1951. We've never seen William Mays, certainly after that, but there was nothing even at the time, even contracts in the 1950s with Topps or the Giants or even his endorsement deals he did were always signed Willie Mays. So extremely rare to have William Mays. And of course it's vintage too, so that totally adds to it, and the condition is incredible. So a little more history about Willie Mays in the 1950s. I'll set that back up here. So in New York in the 1950s, you had 3 teams. You had the New York Yankees, of course, then you had the Brooklyn Dodgers, and then you had the New York Giants. So you had 3 major teams, and these teams were in the World Series, winning the World Series. If not, they were in the pennant or at least a race for the pennant. 1958, the New York Giants moved out of town. They went to San Francisco. That's why there's the San Francisco Giants today. 1958, and they took Willie Mays with him. Also, the Dodgers, they left in the late 50s as well and moved to LA, and now they're the LA Dodgers, of course. So today, the New York Mets, which wasn't around in the 50s, they started in 1962, and of course until today, they pull their colors from Dodger blue and of course Giants orange. So you have the blue and orange in 1962. So to bring this all together real quick, in 1962, you had all the stars from the 1950s that played for the New York Giants and the Brooklyn Dodgers playing on the 1962 New York Mets, because they figured, okay, it's a inaugural season. We need to get players that the fans are going to know. So they got Willie Mays, who by that time was at the end of his career. Actually, he didn't join until the 1970s. But you had guys like Duke Snider, guys like Gil Hodges joining in the early 60s to get, a bunch of the fans interested in the new expansion team. So again, Willie Mays, obviously extremely collectible just because of the career he had. Hall of Famer, 660 home runs, 12-time Gold Gloves, 2-time MVP. I mean, you could go on forever with the statistics. So cards, autographs, an original ticket to the game, signed jerseys, pins, everything is collectible by Willie Mays. However, it's the price point on something like this and something vintage like the baseball are not even close to the stuff he signed in the 80s, 90s, and until today. He's 86 years old today. He's still living. He's still signing, and it's a very sloppy signature. And for that reason, you do have to be wary of a lot of counterfeits. Any of these guys today with these sloppy signatures, any authenticator will tell you it's really, really simple to, or they see a lot of forgeries. So stay away from the modern stuff. If you're looking for value, get the greater old stuff. Going back real quick to this, I just remembered something. So not only is the full name, but even on the Hall of Fame plaque cards or the Hall of Fame plaques at the Hall of Fame, it says the full name of the inductee. And even in the Hall of Fame plaque, it doesn't say William. It says Willie Howard Mays Jr., his his full name, but it even leaves off William. So that kind of just goes into how rare this and how unique and odd of an item it is. So again, cool, really rare because it's vintage. Same thing with the team ball, but a single signed baseball from the 80s and 90s, I mean, you probably get them for $100, $200 max. The trio here, you got Willie Mays, Mickey Mantle, Duke Snider, 1950s outfielders. That was a popular theme to do. And that's a beautiful ball, $1,000 for that. But this is where the real money is and where the real collectible value is. So at least for this Willie Mays, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, definitely. And team balls from the 50s are fully authenticated, a few grand. This one, not the best shape, could be better. We've had high grade ones before. This one, you could see the ink. The reason it's purple is because it was a blue pen at the time and it's turned that way. Even the green signatures, they were blue once, but as time ages the ink, and they must have been using different pens when the ball was being passed around the locker room. So getting a little long-winded there. So just to wrap up, collectible as always, Willie Mays. If you have any questions about Willie Mays autographs, if you have any questions about other autographs you have at home, feel free to send us an email, comment below. I'd be happy to take requests. Thanks again for watching the video. Again, Chris Briganti, Briganti Coins Collectibles here in New York City. Take care.